So we're going back in the past, and we're talking about a show today that was number 3 sitcom of all time. And this is recent. Rolling Stone said that this was the number 3 sitcom of all time, and then number 5 out of the top 100 TV shows of all time. We're talking Seinfeld.
The greatest beatboxing intro for a white show that I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Just to touch on the music thing, you think back with most sitcoms, it always had, what is it? I can't remember what this is from. I know a bunch of them. Show me that smile again. Don't waste another minute on your crying.
Yeah,
What is that? Is that Growing Pains? Technically, is that, or is that what's Perfect Strangers?
Sometimes you dream generic white music.
Well, I guess like the Seinfeld, it was different because for
It was
the
like
time,
2 seconds.
Yeah. So just real quick to like kind of say when this came out, like Seinfeld started airing on NBC July 5th, 1989. So you have all these other sitcoms that are coming out at the time that have this, and I can't remember based off of the first episode. It did have the soundtrack, but it had Jerry doing stand-up.
Yes. So Jerry would come in, do the stand-up in the beginning. That bebopping music would be under him doing that. But an interesting fact is that bebopping music is different each time. It is not the same song every time they play it. If you listen, they always add something additional onto the song for each episode.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea that they actually did that. That's crazy.
One episode had voices and they had to cut that out. It was like squeeze out.
Yeah,
like
yeah. I do remember
and
that.
they got rid of that after that. Yep. Because Jerry liked it and the writers were like, no. And they got rid of, not the writers, but the producers were like, yeah, this is not okay. So
well, this
like,
was definitely, I'll say right off the bat, and just to go further with, kind of the history, this was not a show, and as much as they want to say it, the producers were not 100% with this. This was a show for writers, and strictly, because they had, the creators were Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, and Larry David was known to have a ridiculous temper with meeting with execs and whatnot. I think one of the memories that they had of Larry David was one of his stand-ups where he's telling the jokes and he kind of misstepped and he basically just told the audience to go fuck themselves.
Yes, Larry David did do that because do you know what show he started on?
SNL, Saturday Night
He
Live,
wrote on
right?
SNL, but it was before that. It was another
Friday
show.
nights or something like that. That's where he met Michael Richards on Friday nights.
Yep. Yeah. And it was a sketch comedy show similar to SNL, but I think it only lasted a season, right?
Yeah, it didn't last that long. He had that fantastic fro. Oh,
yes.
My God. Man. There's only 2 white dudes who had a perfect fro, and it was him and
Bill
Bob Ross.
Walton. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Bill Walton. I forgot him. Number 3, the trifecta.
Or Ronald McDonald. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's a perm.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it? Ronald
perm.
McDonald, that's more of a perm.
That's not real. That's not natural.
Yeah,
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Positive.
Oh, we're sure. I'm pretty sure Ronald there's some product in there. I'm pretty sure. Fry grease.
Larry David wrote for SNL for only 1 season. He said he only got 1 sketch shown, and then basically he did meet a couple of the writers that would end up, at least I know one of the writers that would end up writing for him on Seinfeld, and he was actually the one that took where Elaine is dancing. Supposedly that dance is based off of Lauren Michael, I guess, danced like that.
Really?
Like that no one, like he danced like, what is it? Like no one, like if a person never knew what dancing was, that's what they kind of explained it as when Elaine was dancing. But that's what the writer said is like, you see Lauren Michael dance back in the 70s. That's how he danced.
They didn't think that was going to do her any favors. That episode was the Little Kicks episode.
Yeah.
Little kicks.
And Elaine doing that dance, they thought that was going to kill Julia Louis-Dreyfus' career. And it didn't.
No, it kicked it up.
Well, she wasn't even an original
No.
female. No. It was supposed to be a waitress named Claire.
Yep.
Who worked at the coffee shop.
But she was redoing her lines as they were like acting, and Larry David was like, fuck this, get her out of here. The first actual episode aired 1989, but I think this pilot episode had come out, and that waitress was going to be a prominent character, but she was hard to work with. She was changing the lines.
They didn't pick her contract up because of that. So.
Yeah.
NBC only ordered 4 episodes. I saw an interview with Jason Alexander. Or it was,
and technically, this was supposed to be a one-off. This wasn't even supposed to be a full series. It was just supposed to be a special.
Yep.
That's all. That it was supposed to take. It was supposed to take place one time in Saturday Night Live slot, and that was it. But
it was called The Comedian.
Yeah, because ultimately, what it was. Well, when they pitched the idea for the show, it was supposed to be not so much a show about nothing, but how does a comedian get his material? That's why you always hear Jerry commenting in the beginning of each episode on something that's going on within the show or at the end, because he's picking up the material from his friend.
Jerry was starting to get hot in the 80s, and he just did a HBO special, I believe.
Yep. He was actually on a sitcom before Seinfeld, too. Benson, which was fucking wild because they fired his ass.
Yes, they did. After like 3 episodes. And he didn't, in an interview, he said he didn't know he was fired until he went into work and they told him, yeah, you're fired.
Which was also a Seinfeld episode where George got fired and ended up still coming in there.
Yeah. But he was pretending like he was. He knew, right? Yeah. He was like, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to be here. But
well, Larry David, that actually happened to Larry David, too, where he said he got fired and he just pretended like it never happened the next day. He was like, I got fired? I don't recall that happening. Like, who has the balls to do something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like, to go into a place and be like,
he was set up. I think it was set up to where he thought the job was so inept that they would just forget. Like they were so comically just fucked up as far as how they ran their business that they would just simply forget. So he was trying to bet on that. Yeah. But back to Jerry Seinfeld getting hot. It was after that special, I think on HBO, he said that his own agent basically sent a handwritten note to one of the NBC executives saying that, hey, call me crazy, but wouldn't it be cool, or wouldn't it be funny if this guy Jerry Seinfeld, my client, had his own sitcom, his own show?
And at the time in LA, the Comedy Store was a big place to go, and comedians were getting picked up for sitcoms, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. That was the golden ticket. You get a sitcom and you are golden. And a lot of these comedians, they all came from the same spot, which was the Comedy Store. And
Eddie Murphy.
Yep, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor.
Do you know whose mother owned that store?
Yeah, Pauly Shore. Mitzi.
Pauly Shore, yep.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Pauly Shore talked about how, meeting Richard Pryor and having to sleep backstage and seeing all these great comedians come back there. And
you would think it would rub off, but it did not.
Oh, no. Well, Biodome was an Oscar-worthy performance.
Oscar-worthy performance.
Encino Man. What are you talking about?
Oh, Pauly Shore. Or, you know what, man? A Goofy movie. He was great in that. Look at this. The Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh, my God. Jesus
that was great, dude. Anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that was your golden ticket. If you got a sitcom, and the producers and everyone, they loved Jerry, they just didn't know how to use him. So then Jerry got in contact with Larry David, who then they started creating this special, which then turned into a comedy show, a sitcom, and that's how Seinfeld was born. Most of the characters that are in this series are actually based off of people. Well, Jerry being Jerry, who also, he even says, like, when he first started, everyone knew Jerry Seinfeld was a terrible actor. Like, he is I'm sorry to say, like, he's not a good actor. So they had
he's
to
Jerry and everything.
Yeah.
He's Jerry.
He's Jerry in the B movie.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Jerry in the B movie. Damn, too quick on the draw. I was just about to say that. He's Jerry in the B movie, yeah.
Jason Alexander. So they were looking for a character, his buddy. They originally were thinking Larry David. He read for the part, but that did not end up working out. And Larry David did not want to be in front. He wanted to focus on the writing. And they went through a bunch of people. I know Danny DeVito was one.
Steve Buscemi.
Yep. There was a list of, who are now A-listers in Hollywood that had tried out for that role, but the person that had gotten it was Jason Alexander to play the character of George, who was based off of Larry David. There was that whole thing that came out that...
Well, here's something interesting about that. So, Jason Alexander did theater at the time. So, when he did go to read for Seinfeld, he loved the script. And he didn't think Seinfeld would have a shot. He did not think it would have a shot at all.
Yeah, he had gone in there thinking that he already knew he wasn't going to get it, but he was going to try to get like a different role in it or something like that.
Yeah, he was not sure that it was going to take off. The other thing about that, George has so much shit around him, the actual Costanza sued them.
Yeah, this was after the series was over, correct? Because they said he didn't have a case because the actual... so he tried to sue them saying that George Costanza was based off of him. I believe it was after the show, but the time frame as to when it happened, when the character was created, and to when he sued, which is...
Statute of limitations.
Yes, that's what the judge said. It was statute of limitations, so he couldn't actually sue for it. So they threw the case out of court, and Jerry lost, because that is actually one of Jerry Seinfeld's... He was one of Jerry Seinfeld's good friends.
Yeah, because what ended up happening is the guy's argument was, George is bald, I'm bald. George is stocky, I'm stocky. George and I both went to Queens College with Jerry. George's high school teacher nicknamed him Can't Stand You. So did mine. George had a thing about bathrooms and parking. So do I. That was his argument.
Well, his last name was Costanza, too.
Yeah, can't stand you. Can't stand you. Because, man, it's so many episodes that I could point out that were great. The one where they hook Elaine up on a date and the dude took his dick out. That was the first episode in which they actually... There were so many firsts on this episode. They talked about masturbation first in the contest. This one...
I think that's where the show kind of took off after that. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I believe, cited that was the episode where things kind of took off.
Yeah.
Was that season 5 or season 4? Because season 4...
might have been 4.
Yeah, season 4 had the long... And the other thing, too, is like every character had their own arc throughout. Like, if it was... Larry David wanted to make sure that every character had their own story, even if it intertwined with other characters and whatnot. Everyone kind of had an arc.
Yes.
In a sense. One of the rules that... Actually, I was going to bring this up real quick. One of the rules Larry David had was he famously instituted a policy of no hugging, no learning, meaning that the show must avoid sentimentality and moral lessons. He didn't want the characters to grow and learn from their mistakes, which then in turn you have the series, and it makes sense then with the whole series finale, because to say the least, a lot of people were not happy with the ending of that show.
No, they didn't, and that's why I said earlier they had to do like a makeup on the Larry David show, where they had to do like a reunion, and they brought Michael Richards back, and George developed that bathroom app that I think would be fantastic in real life. So that would be great to know where all the perfect bathrooms are at, like rest stops and stuff like that. That would be fantastic. So they had to do that makeup because a lot of fans felt like that was a big FU. The last official episode, and
to me it made sense. Like, the thing is that, you know, if you know now what happened, but it's like people weren't going to know that then. So yeah, it kind of was a slap in the face. These people. So you have, after Seinfeld, and just real quick, you have other shows that have kind of done the same thing in a sense. One in particular, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes.
That is a show about nothing.
Yeah. And I like that. I love Always Sunny.
It was described as Seinfeld on crack.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And, other shows have tried it too and have not always worked. But, like, when you do it right, like Seinfeld was the beginning, I think, and end for me of sitcom television. Like, at least, well, not the beginning, but the end of sitcom television for me.
Isn't that sitcom?
No, it's not that's more
it's not in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So Seinfeld, you would go as far as I don't know, man.
Well,
because
the Big Bang Theory.
Bazinga.
You put that in there just to fucking piss me off.
I was gonna say Seinfeld.
Bazinga up your fucking ass, man.
Seinfeld ended in '98.
Are you all right? Oh, no, I'm fine. Serenity now.
So you had sitcoms going on around that time.
Yes, John, but don't you understand? When I say it's done, it's done.
Well, I mean, no, there's a little gray area there.
Dharma and Greg, maybe? Actually, you know what?
No.
I will say maybe Drew Carey show.
Oh, yeah, I love the Drew Carey show.
Drew Carey show was good.
Well,
yeah.
It's
when I
just like
watched it.
really, it's really fucking hard for me. Like, it's you're waiting for the character to say their famous line, or I'm trying to think. What's his name? The tall dipshit that says "bazinga" all the time. That's his line.
Sheldon.
And people
Sheldon.
are just like, oh,
Bazinga.
Toe and a Half Man was probably the last one where like everybody just loved that sitcom. Like,
Yeah, and then fucking
I didn't, but
I was not. I liked it when it first came out. When it
Okay.
first came out,
Sure.
it was okay. But then after a while, it just started to go. So
I fucking hate it all.
I know you.
That's
did.
why I was gonna say, like, Seinfeld for me too. I just was never really big into sitcoms.
I was too young to get it. It wasn't until my sophomore year of high school when it, like 2 years after it went off, like in 2000. And actually, one of my teachers showed me it was her sneaky way of watching Seinfeld, but she wanted to kind of like indoctrinate us. So she used it as a way of creating an assignment around a Seinfeld episode, which was the last episode, because the new law at the time coincided with that episode of
the
morality law.
Good Samaritan.
And it was like a morality class, so she tried to like coincide it with an assignment, and you can tell she was just a huge fan of Seinfeld. So that's actually when I started to really start watching, because I finally started getting it. So so it was one way, it was like, all right, we're watching TV in class, so whatever it is a break from doing actual work. And then you actually started watching it. I did, at least. And it was like, okay, I gotta do this for a paper. And it was like, wait, now that I'm paying attention to it, I'm finding myself laughing more than being bored. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of funny. I get it now.
Well, you had a cool teacher, because most of my teachers
I didn't know she was
show
cool
any
at
of
the
that shit.
time.
Elementary school was where I had fun because we would watch Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Motherfucker, it's
See,
elementary
you
school.
guys had fucking, like, we watched shit that's from like the 80s, and like I'd have to watch it like in summer school. Literature, like these little movies. It was a literature class, and the guy was showing fucking movies.
Are you all right? Oh, no, I'm fine. Serenity now.
But he was like fat. He had a one of those
It's always a fat guy with you, Aaron.
big fucking mustache, and he would show these terrible 80s movies of these books. And it's just like, he's punishing us. He thought it was hilarious because he knew how much we hated him.
This is elementary school?
No, this is not. This is high school. In elementary school, we had to watch all the fucking Jesus movies, little cartoons, like the one where Jesus is talking to Peter, and he is like, Peter's like, you've come. Yes, I've come. And that's just like the really awkward spacing in that animation where literally the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ just came in his pants. Anyways,
Yes.
Seinfeld.
I have come.
Yes. I have come.
Good Lord. How are you having that? I went to Catholic school and we didn't even have it that bad. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
my
What
God.
they were showing you that in elementary school in a public elementary school?
Oh no. I went to Lutheran school.
Oh,
That's right.
there you go.
Yep. German Lutheran. What the fuck was that? I have rats.
Ugh, really?
No, I don't know. Something was moving
Honestly,
around.
well, you
I
got
have
a
the air
cat,
condition-
but
That bitch, she is sprawled up on my bed right now, fucking legs wide open. Well, I was gonna say, like, just to touch more on, like, so that was kind of the beginnings of Seinfeld. Seinfeld ended up lasting 9 seasons. Jerry was approached everyone else to do a 10th season where it would have made them, I think, $110 million each. Wow. They were going to do episode, I forgot what the price tag was, because at the end they were doing an episode for $1 million each.
Well, did you know that as of now, or as far as I saw in an interview with Jason Alexander, he said that they, the Elaine, well, not Elaine, but the Jason Alexander, Michael Richards, and
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Jonathan,
I was getting to that speed bump.
Let him do it. Go ahead, buddy.
He has to learn.
According to Jason Alexander, hold on, I'm going to do this right. According to Jason Alexander, in an interview, he said Michael Richards, and Julie Louis. God damn it!
Are you all right? Oh, no, I'm fine. Serenity now.
Julia
Louis. Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus. All right, let's do this again. I got my line. All right, according to Jason Alexander, oh my God, this is terrible. According to Jason Alexander, in an interview, he said that Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Michael Richards. God damn
Michael
it.
Richards. Oh man, so close. Hey, I want to. So there was a. I know he's.
I'm just gonna bury
he's
myself
taking a
in the
minute. He's having a
backyard.
tantrum.
Somebody else fucking say it then.
I wanted to bring up.
They don't get residuals. Goddamn it! Only Jerry and fucking Larry get residuals.
Oh yeah. They don't get
From
any
syndication.
residuals.
That's whack.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They should have gotten
that. Yeah, they should get something for that.
Like what I had said to you, Jonathan, real quick, and then I'll let you speak your piece because I keep interrupting you. But the whole point, like Jerry could not act.
Yeah,
those people. What is it? Jason Alexander, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I know I fucked it up, but I'm just going to keep going with it. And Michael Richards. They were the ones that helped Jerry Seinfeld. They made him look like a good actor, which in turn, if you have a good actor acting with you, you're going to be better.
Yes.
So
yeah, I agree.
Actors are important?
Well, yes. I remember I apologized to those actors out there. The whole thing is that you need to learn your lines first and then deal with the emotion of what is being said. A lot of actors only do it one way or the other, and you know what? No, fuck that. It's still, you shouldn't be idolized for acting. I'm sorry.
You backtracking.
That was the wrong answer.
Yeah. So they are worth the money. That's what you're saying.
The show was so popular because I wanted to bring this up.
Yep.
There was going to be a Jackie Childs spinoff, and unfortunately, that fell through. In 1999, they were going to have their first spinoff, the Jackie Childs Show, with Phil Morris, who played the Cochran-esque lawyer on there, and I loved him on there. Jackie Childs.
Who told you to put the bomb on the leg?
Who told you to put the bomb on?
Yeah, who told you to put the bomb on?
I told you to put the bomb on? Put the bomb on. So ultimately what happened was the pitch was going to find Jackie Childs as the only black lawyer in an all-white firm, but the plans fell apart. So unfortunately, it's something that
holy shit, that would have been hilarious.
Oh, I would have loved this.
Fucking hilarious. That guy is incredible.
Yeah, I like Phil Morris. He actually played Martian Manhunter in a show called Smallville. So
yep, I remember.
Yeah. And then Jerry turned down $10 million for a 10th season of Seinfeld.
Oh, it was 10 million? I thought it was 110.
Oh, you know what, man? That you are correct. 110 million. That's what it was.
Well, Jason Alexander said halfway through the 9th season, they huddled up like around December or New Year's, and as a cast, they were just like, "Man, this is it. the characters, I think we pretty much did everything we could to them as far as like putting them in every conceivable situation. And he also said Jerry at that point was kind of burnt out.
Yeah, and the thing too is that he doesn't really have to work again. The only other thing that he did after this, other than comedians getting coffee in cars or whatever the fuck it is.
Oh man, hey.
The other thing too, I didn't really want like.
Oh, he was in top 5. Did you see top 5 with Chris Rock?
I did see that. I don't remember him being in there.
Jerry was in that. Jerry was at the end. He was at the end at the strip club when he was talking about his top 5 rappers.
Oh.
So Jerry was in that.
Well, like Jason Alexander has done some things here and there, like small movie roles, sitcoms here and there. Michael Richards still isn't working since, 2006?
I like the fact that Larry David's actual roommate was the inspiration for
Kramer. Yeah.
Because his real name is Kenny Kramer.
Yep. He was interviewed, I think, on the same DVD box set thing. Yeah, we watched the same thing.
Yeah.
And he looks wild. Yep.
Yeah, he's exactly like he's a comedian, and he's exactly what was being said about Kramer. Like Larry David said, do not get this guy involved in the show because the moment you do it, he's going to take it over. And lo and behold, that's what happened. He did the Kenny Kramer tour because Kramer did a tour on the episode. And he actually did it in real life. Like, these are all the spots that I hang out in. And he was like, they got my character right because, I have a high sexual prowess and all this. And
Jesus Christ.
It was crazy, man. Like, this guy is off the wall bonkers, man. But Larry David said it. He said that's what it was because originally Kramer's name was going to be Kessler.
Yes, I remember that.
Yep.
Jason Alexander does stand-up.
Jason Alexander does?
Yeah. It started off around 2013 or 2014. Basically, he was trying to get work for a long time. And like Michael Richards, the casting directors only saw him as George Costanza. And he started getting frustrated because every time he would almost get the part, they would say, well, we don't want to cast you, not because you're not a good actor, but we only see George. He's like, well,
typecast.
Yeah, he's like, well, don't you want your movie to be associated with a character that has a following? So as a joke, you might remember this, he started wearing a toupee just for laughs and to like stick it to those casting directors or anybody that he was trying to audition to. Like, well, you only see Costanza. Well, I don't look like him now. So that spawned him to actually do a stand-up routine to kind of make fun of himself. And he said, and then eventually he started headlining in Las Vegas. It's called Jason Alexander and His Hair. That's what it was called.
Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, man. So, and he also did.
And he was also in The Producers.
He was in The Producers. He was also in The Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yes. That was recent. Just to touch on Julie Louis-Dreyfus, Veep, other show, like she had her own sitcom for a little bit too. Veep was big. Now she's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
In the Marvel verse. Oh my God.
Adventures with Old Christine. Was that the sitcom?
The New Adventures of Old Christine. Yeah.
Yep.
Which I liked. I thought that was good for her to break out from the Elaine character for a little. She's the only one who's been able to find really good, steady work.
Yep.
Oh, she's hilarious. But she also says in interviews, like, she's really an actor. She's not really a comedian. She said it herself. Like, she's good at being funny. She's a comedic actor, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack with Seinfeld. Everyone has a favorite episode.
I was going to say everyone has a favorite character too. It's like, we're not going to be able to touch on too much, but like, Jerry Stiller, that's in that Ben Stiller's father who plays George Costanza's father.
John Randolph was originally cast as Frank Costanza and then got replaced. He got replaced after the next season by Jerry Stiller.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was the same thing with Jerry Seinfeld's, the guy that played Jerry Seinfeld's father.
Yes, that's true.
He only lasted an episode, and then they replaced him, and then he just continually said, and there was only one mention of Jerry having a sister in one episode. It was never brought up again.
I don't even remember that one.
putty.
Banya was on there. That was Jerry's competition. That's gold, Jerry, gold.
Oh, Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
He was on there too.
Yeah.
He played the dentist
That became Jewish.
Yeah. Oh, God.
So I think he just became Jewish for the jokes.
So these are a couple little facts, nothing too crazy. Did you know producer and director Steven Spielberg once commented that the film, well, I heard about this, while he was filming Schindler's List, he was like ridiculously depressed. People kind of helped him out. The stories of George Lucas, kind of talking to him and whatnot, because it's Schindler's List. It's not, I don't know, the movie Beach Party or something like that. But he got so depressed that he would watch episodes of Seinfeld to cheer him up.
And it's funny because Jerry had the Schindler's List episode.
Oh, Jesus.
You remember that? When he was dating this woman, and in the episode Schindler's List came out, he was dating this woman, but he couldn't be affectionate, or he couldn't have sex with her in his apartment because at the time his parents was living with him because house had to get fumigated, or for some reason they were out their house. So he was so sexually frustrated, he took his girl to the movies where Schindler's List was playing, and instead of watching this intense movie, he started making out with his girlfriend, and Newman was in the audience just looking at him and just being angry.
Oh my God, yeah.
Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Newman.
The episode kept saying, his parents kept saying to Jerry, you gotta see this movie, it's important.
I remember it, yep.
It's important. And then when he finally goes, he starts
He's making out with the woman.
He's just fucking going to town. And Newman's, of course, Newman's is in the audience just
Newman.
But yeah, so when you brought up Spielberg, I wonder if that had anything to do with Larry David writing that episode. I don't know.
It could have been an homage to Steven Spielberg because, just being in Hollywood, I figured not all Jewish people are friends in Hollywood. But it's actually the fact that it was produced. Stop it. No, that's not why I'm Castle Rock.
You temporarily cleaned it up and then you're nah.
Fuck. Fuck it.
You meant actors or stars, Hollywood stars.
Yeah,
I got
just that. Just a correction real quick. It wasn't, the original script was not called The Comedian. It was called Stand Up. And it was supposed to be, it was going to be a 90-minute mockumentary about how stand-up comedian writes his jokes, which they were doing, I don't know how many seasons they did it for, where it would start off with Jerry doing a comedy bit, and then it would go to the episode. So I think in that, they kind of determined, okay, it's still how a comedian gets his jokes, because he's telling the joke that the episode, I thought, was based around, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
They stopped doing that after a certain season, and I can't remember which one. I thought maybe it was season 5 or season 6. They stopped doing that.
Yep.
Hey, I was going to ask you, okay, throughout the whole thing, did you ever get the feeling, and maybe they can, maybe because they're, it's Seinfeld, Elaine, George, Kramer, all these people. Do you ever think, I always thought they took themselves way too fucking seriously, and it's just but don't they have the right to that? They're the greatest fucking sitcom TV show around. Well, some could say it was Friends, but then you're a fucking moron.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Seinfeld comes in number 1 over Friends any day of the week. If you want to be honest, I would go as far as to say Living Single comes over Friends, if I'm being brutally honest. My thing is that with Seinfeld, I don't know if they took themselves too seriously, but I do know that Michael Richards was very serious when it came to recording. He was completely opposite of his character. Everyone else would have a bad case of the giggles. He would get angry and frustrated when they kept doing bloopers.
Yeah. When you actually watch the bloopers, you could see the frustration mount in his eyes, and it's a couple times where he's okay, come on, let's be serious. Where everyone is fucking the showrunner, because Seinfeld wrote a lot of the episodes as well. He was laughing, and he would be telling the creators to stop laughing, but that's just how fucking funny the show was. And he was, I will say 100%, Michael Richards, the Kramer character, was extremely talented.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, and this is where you kind of go into, well, what do you think? Do you separate the artist from the art?
I think so. I mean, they brought Michael Richards back for a quote-unquote finale within a finale on the Larry David Show.
Just fucking amazing.
It was so fucking funny.
Fucking hilarious. And genius how they did that.
And it's great, man. Like, I liked watching Seinfeld because each episode was so fucking random that it bordered on surrealism.
But yeah, all these side characters, all these different like topics that came up there was no consistency throughout the season except for season 4, which I found always strange, but also very like different. I didn't want an ongoing story. You had Friends where it's like Rachel and Ross, will they, won't they? Who gives a fuck?
Well, and Chandler and Monica, will they, won't
was
they?
Was it Chandler and Monica, and who gives a fuck? And then Joey and whoever.
Rachel at one point.
Who gives a fuck?
It's funny, I remember all this. Yeah.
Yeah. Don, you give a fuck, I guess.
Well, I remember people made fun of that because they were just bouncing around. The characters were bouncing around each other, like just boning each other.
I would have respected that show a lot more if they had just probably ended it at season 4, where there were multiple stories with Seinfeld that it was always different, it was always fresh, and they would make sure 100% that they weren't redoing something that they did, where Friends didn't do that. That's why Friends is a terrible fucking show.
Well, Seinfeld had callbacks that, yeah, they might not have done the exact same joke, but they'll introduce a character and then later on they will use them again and call it back a little bit. What made them funny in the first place? The Poppy stain. They brought, that episode. I'm not going to try to do the accent, but it was hilarious. The Italian accent. The Poppy. Anyway, I did it anyway. Well, they brought him back. That episode where the doorman and
the guy that was playing the doorman was friends with Larry David, if I'm not mistaken. They were also trying to possibly have him be George. I'm pretty sure.
Oh. Just like you guys, I'm going to echo what you guys were talking about earlier. Like nobody, including the cast members, did not think this shit was going to work. They always thought that they were going to get canceled.
Well, Jason Alexander said that he was asked, like, do you think that this is going to make it? And he's like, no, it's not, because this is a TV show for me. Like for kind of the people that are like me.
He was 30 at the time when he got casted.
And he was like, and I don't watch TV. And it's like, exactly.
He said old people and married couples watch TV or sitcoms.
Like after when season 4 was over and that was the breakout season, and then you go into season 5, this was like a water cooler show that you would have to talk to people, in the office. If you hadn't seen the show before, you were kind of screwed. Well, weren't the writers taking, okay, so after season 5, or not after season 5, because season 4 was the breakout season. The storyline, they actually had a coherent storyline. Jerry's trying to sell the pilot to NBC. And then season 5 came out. They started taking stories from the writers. And of course, you would have to get it approved by Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld. And that's when they just started taking random ass stories from these people and doing every episode. It was literally a show about nothing. And that's what made it so good, because these experiences, a lot of them were ridiculous. The one that I watched yesterday was the cockfight.
Oh, Little Jerry. Little Jerry.
Just like something like that probably happened to one of the writers, where they, saw a cockfight and they were, how ridiculous it was. And then George, because there's always a tamale guy at a fucking cockfight. Whatever. And but a lot of those writers, seeing as how we saw basically the same documentary, they would have to go through a process. And usually you would want to do it when Jerry and Larry were both in the room. Because if you sold it to Larry and then Jerry saw it afterwards, sometimes Jerry would be like, no, we've already, I'm pretty sure we've already done something like that. And Larry's like, Yeah, I think so. I'm not even going to try to do an impression of Larry David.
Yeah, it's hard to do Larry David's voice because it's high, but Larry David's voice reminds me of Judge Doom off of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where it's that high. Like, remember me, Eddie? Like, so I know what you're talking about, because the thing with Jerry, Jerry was bold, because Jerry did one of my favorite episodes was the Puerto Rican episode where they had the Puerto Rican parade.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the one that they don't show anymore.
Why?
Yeah. Well,
so Puerto Rican Coalition were hanging outside of the NBC studios when it aired, and it only, as far as I know, it only aired once, and it is not in syndication.
That's interesting, because I know Jerry went over that the Puerto Rican Coalition, and they had protesters come out because Kramer was stomping the Puerto Rican flag because it caught on fire. And that's when they had the two guys that were gay on there, like, who's stomping the flag? And he was like, do you know what day this is? Because I know what day this is. He know what day this is. They know what day it is. So I was wondering if you knew what day it is. And Kramer was like, I only got one thing to say to you, boys. And that's when he took off running.
And he starts running down the street.
Yeah. Because the funny thing was, that's when what's-the-name's car got so banged up from they destroyed that car because Kramer was in it. And that episode did cause a lot of controversy, but I remember the writers were saying, they told Jerry, hey, just leave it alone. Jerry went over there and actually talked with the protesters. That's why I said he was so bold at the time, because Jerry just went above and beyond when it came to finding out why people were the way they were. He went over there and spoke with the protesters and, was trying to clear things up. And they thought it was going to turn into something dangerous, but it didn't. Same thing happened with the Soup Nazi episode. The guy who the Soup Nazi was based off of was so frustrated, so pissed off that they made fun of him, that Jerry went there and he gave this really exaggerated, oh, I'm sorry I made you famous. Like, he went through this whole big thing. And the writers and everybody, when they went to go have lunch there, they were scared because they knew this dude was going to be losing his shit. So that's what I like about Jerry. Like I said, man, he's like Bugs Bunny. He just is.
Well, he has supreme confidence, John. Like, if you listen to his interviews, like, as funny as he is, he's just as cocky or alpha male as Michael Jordan or some, like, a athletic star. Like, he knows he's funny. He'll tell you within a second, like, yeah, I know I'm funny. Like, but that doesn't surprise me at all. He's an alpha male. It's just different because he's a comedian.
Well, what are we then? Are we betas? I'm alpha as fuck, bro. I'm alpha as fuck.
I don't know. I've always, that tickles me when people say that, like, oh man, I'm alpha. Like, how? Because for me,
well,
it's
maybe
like,
alpha male was the wrong. Maybe he's just confident. How about that? He's just confident. Maybe alpha male is the wrong.
Yeah, because I think, no, I got what you're saying. Some people,
I think he is cocky a little bit, even though he jokes about it. But I think he is cocky.
Yeah, but his type of cockiness isn't the kind that makes people uncomfortable. Like, he's the kind of cocky where he's just like, hey, I know I'm funny, and I can make you laugh if you just listen to what I have to say. His observation is stellar. How he's been able to point things out, and his delivery is great.
It was 76 million
people watched
the last episode.
The last episode?
76 million.
So when the last...
I think it was ranked 4th all the time.
Dang. When the last episode aired on May 14th, the TV Land Network, they had honored the occasion. They aired absolutely no programming. All it was a still photo of a closed office door.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Because that's how big it was. Like, I remember, because we were old enough, to watch it, and I remember waiting for it to come on. This was like right before or close to 7th grade for me.
So you watched the last episode when it was live, when it came out?
I was watching, my mom and we would watch it at, almost every single episode for the last season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's why it was so good. They picked these episodes with a fine-tooth comb. The cast of characters that they ended up getting, the side characters, the main four, that was the thing too, that a lot of people had freedom on the set because all Jerry and Larry cared about was writing. That was it. The set designers, the wardrobe, all of them they just did their thing, but it was a perfect team. The sets were great. They did a lot of outdoor shoots too, but then, they were even saying that with the apartment, it was hard to shoot in there because you only had a few areas that you could go to. You could go to the table, you could stand in the hallway, which was technically, I think they called it like the Hall of Power or something like that. And they would also go into the bathroom or the area in the apartment or something, and they would huddle, and they would call that the Circle of Power. They had like some type of fucking power thing going on, but
you rarely see shots of his bedroom, as I can
you
recall,
might see
of Seinfeld's bedroom. You
might see a bed. I think that's it.
Only one time when
was it the episode where him and Elaine got together?
Yeah. I think it was an episode where George got in his head about rising to the occasion as far as like being able to get hard on or to be good in bed. And I remember the last scene was him in bed with Elaine, just looking at his dick, just like, motherfucker, you let me down. But I can't remember the episodes. The only time I can remember him being in bed at his house. But it's not important. It's just weird that, you didn't really see his bedroom.
And the reason why they had that episode of Elaine and Jerry getting together is because they kept telling Larry David, it's like, well, that could be Jerry's, love interest. Could be Elaine. And they were completely against it. They didn't want that to happen, so they did it as like a one-off, like, shut up, here you go. This is how ridiculous this is. And that's why I loved Side, because they went against everything that these fucking producers were telling them to do, which was just the typical shit. And the thing is that we wouldn't have the shows that we have now if they hadn't done that. So thank you, Larry David, and thank you, Jerry.
And by the way they did it was even tasteful to me. The way they got together and the way they broke up. It was tasteful. It was like, okay, we tried it. Just like as if they were writing it for the producers. Like, hey, we're trying it. It didn't work. But hey, we're going to still be friends. No big deal. Because even Julia Louis-Dreyfus said so in an interview that she was really one of the guys, but not really one of the guys. But she just happened to be a female. And I think that's why it worked so well.
Yeah, I think you couldn't find, like, it just all the stars aligned with this show. Most sitcoms, and I pray to fucking God we don't do an episode on other sitcoms. If you want to do Big Bang Theory,
Bazinga,
I'm sitting out. Get someone else to do it.
No, I would never do Big Bang.
No, you know what?
Theory.
No, do it, because then the whole time I'm going to be like, that's fucking stupid.
Serenity now! Serenity
It's going to be a miserable bastard.
I had another one in mind that I know you would like this one. We're definitely going to do Friends, right?
I will be...
Could you be more enthusiastic?
Hey guys, it's Aaron. Thanks for listening to our season finale of After School Special Podcast. We're going to be taking a little pause in order to get some sun and some rays and the cool ocean breezes. And we'll be back, don't you worry, for season 2 of After School Special Podcast. Bye! Think you could do me a big fave? Wherever you're listening to this right now, rate and subscribe. Find new episodes every Wednesday where you listen to podcasts, and look for us on all the social media sites and Gmail at After School Special Podcast at Gmail, After School Special Podcast at Instagram and Facebook, and After School SPE3 on Twitter. Where literally the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ just came in his pants. Anyways,
yes.
Seinfeld.